Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Bain Break It Down Forex. It's your boy Big Bain in this thing. You guys guessed it, another week, another opportunity for us to make some money in the Forex market. So let's get right to it. All right. Boom. Over on the dollar, guys. We had a nice push down. We made a double bottom, which is technically a bullish reversal pattern. So we should see the dollar begin to rise. But we definitely need to break above this high before that happens. All right. So until we do that, we're still bearish, and that's what you guys need to know about the dollar. All right. Typically, whenever you do have a double bottom, like we have here with these equal lows, price will typically sweep that before it goes and shifts from down, all right, to up, all right, breaking above this particular high right here. So very important, guys, very key that you wait for that high to be broken before you look for whatever opportunities line up with the dollar rising. Okay, so look for the sweep and then for the change of character. This is usually what happens before the change, right, of character. The sweep usually happens first, and then when you get the change right behind it, it validates that change because it got liquidity first before doing so, making this new demand area very highly probable to be traded back to, and then taking its way to the upside. All right, guys, so in regards to the dollar, that's what I'm looking for it to do, opening this week, is sweep sell side liquidity off of these double bottoms, right? Change character to break above this strong high, right, before we begin the retracement phase of the dollar, because again, this is our high and this is our low, so everything within that will be internal, right, retracing, correcting, pulling back, right, to that level of supply. And from that supply area is where I'm expecting the dollar to drop. But for now, I am temporarily bullish on the dollar. We could, potentially go higher. Once we get up to that supply, we may turn around and break that supply, right? But with the way that it's looking heavily bearish, it doesn't really look like it's going to do that. But again, you can't really call it until price gets up to here. When it gets here, this is when we're looking at a lower time frame to see the detailed, little intricate things that are going on in this area as far as price action is concerned, to see if we get what we call, once again, ladies and gents, a change of character. Get up in here, right? We create a bit of a higher low, we sweep the high, and then we come down and change the same thing that I was explaining here, but in reverse, right? So I was saying price will come down, sweep the low, come up, and then change. But when we get into supply, we're looking for the opposite to happen. We're looking for it to create these equal highs, or just a one, higher high, sweep that high, and then change character, breaking that strong low that broke that high. All right, you get that. That's your confirmation that price wants to go down, and now we're with the trend, right? So we're going to get a massive push down, breaking below this low, and then getting to whatever the next low just so happens to be on the dollar, which looks like this area, which has equal lows. So we can see the dollar get all the way down to that area if we get price to retrace to that supply and respect it, change character, and then head to the downside. So this is all the things that I'm looking for on the dollar this week to make everything sweet. Okay, but like I said, guys, watch out for the potential sell side sweep before the change of character, leading to the retracement back up to the supply area to mitigate it. All right, and then another change of character coming down from the supply area to tell us that the dollar is falling. And scenarios like that, we want to look to buy the metals, buy the indices, and some of the major pairs that have the dollar in it, obviously. All right, so once again, temporarily bearish, temporarily bullish, and then overall bearish on the dollar. All right, moving over to JPY. All right, again, guys, we have broken the high, made the new high, all the retracement back. We swept this little bit of a low here, so we still are trending bearish, right? So we can still end up falling, right? So we're looking for price to simply get above this strong high here, right? That broke this low, right? On Friday, we want price to push above that to let us know that we are in the indication phase of price beginning to rise, right? We'll need to see price simply break above that high, come back and respect whatever demand area was created, right? Respect it, and then give us some bullish pressure coming up out of there. If we get that, then we can kiss the baby goodnight, as the JPY will begin to rise to the next swing high, or the previous swing high rather, which is all the way up here. All right, so just however long that might take, we'll eventually get up to that point, but we just need to see some things happen first before we look for the JPY to fully rise to where we can sell pairs like our GJ pair, GJ, AJ, EJ, etc. Right, so that's what I'm looking for on the JPY. Knowing or understanding that it's still bearish, right? Still making bearish price action. So as much as we want to see it rise, right? If it keeps falling, it keeps falling, right? And you have to play it to that accord. All right. So just understanding that it's all about patience. It's just waiting to see what this does, and then being able to take advantage of the movement. All right. But I'm bullish on JPY. I just need that change before I get ready to sell my prominent JPY pairs. All right, moving over to odd dollar. All right, so we broke the high, made a new high, and we're starting to retrace. You guys will see it better on the lower time frame. So here is the 1 hour. All right, you guys are starting to see that structure a lot more cleanly, to where we just got a little bit of a break below here on the 15-minute time frame. All right, there is a strong low that was just broken at the very end of the week, so here is potential for us to begin that retracement between our low and our high. All right, again, we are bullish, but this retracement is going to be bearish. All right, guys, just the simple things you need to know. There's liquidity here, so we're gonna go get that. We're gonna probably get liquidity from here, right? Here's a fair value gap sitting in here. Here is a demand area sitting in here. So price can get to any one of these levels or points of interest, right, before it begins to rise back up in the uptrend that is overall in. All right, guys, this is very simply taking candy from a baby if you understand market structure, because we've gotten very, very clean setups on these major pairs. All right, so we evaluated AU, and we're going to head to the rest of them, but just know that the structure that they're giving is super, super clean, so that you should be able to make money on the retracement as well as on the run phase of this uptrend market structure. All right, guys, so look out for price to just fall, and then let it do that, right? Catch it if you want to, right? But you'll be going against the trend, just know that. But when it gets to this area, if you want to trade odd dollar, these are what you want to be looking for, your buying opportunities from these low points of interest. And if you get that, then let it rip. You'll be looking at, let's see, a good 66 pips on odd dollar. Not a whole lot, but still can get you paid depending on the lot size you take out. All right, so I'm temporarily bearish, overall bullish on odd dollar. Moving over to euro dollar. All right, same thing. Euro dollar broke this high, made this new high, and then it consolidated, right? So again, throwing people off. It's not just falling and completing the retracement right away. It goes sideways, so you don't know what it's going to do. But if you force yourself to trade in that, it's exactly what they want you to do, because they know that eventually they're going to push it down when knowing that it's up. So maybe you're trying to buy from here, But look how ironic that so many people are buying from this level. It pushes up, we come back to it, it pushes up, it comes back to it, we're pushed up. So right in that area, guys, on Euro USD, you have multiple times where people are looking to purchase it because it's in a uptrend. So all of their stop losses are sitting somewhere behind these three lows, right? So if money's sitting all up in here, you know what they're going to do. They're going to give you the notion that they're going to pull it up, which they could because it's equal highs, right? So again, people who sold, their stop losses are above here, right? We never started the retracement. We just went up and went sideways. So think about that, right? If we're going to start the retracement, technically we're probably going to get the high first and then come and get the low, right? And get the rest of the money that sits alone and then go right back up, right? You could be right about the direction, buying the euro dollar while it's in a uptrend, but then you can still become a part of the liquidity grab when you don't understand market structure in the cycle and where liquidity sits, right? This is messing you up. I'm telling you right now, if you hear me out and get your market structure correct, you're going to see how you become liquidity, right? Where it goes against you, takes you out. You bought it, it dropped on you, it takes you out, and then does what? Completely rips in your intended direction. All right, guys, let me help you fix that in a heartbeat. All right, if you get with me, right, forexwithbang.com, click the link for the Discord, and let's get jigging. All right, but for Euro USD, I'm looking for the sweep of the high, possibly going into the sweep of the low, giving me some sort of retracement. No matter what price is doing, I don't care if it keeps rising. I don't want to buy it while it's rising, right? And I definitely don't want to sell it in a uptrend. I can, but I don't really want to, right? I would rather just see it drop, get to this area, and then load up on my opportunity to buy it, because I'm now with the trend and I'm now at a discount, and I'm giving myself a higher probability of this working out in my favor than buying it when it's high. It's that simple, guys. All right, I'm temporarily bearish, overall bullish on euro dollar. All right, pound dollar, same thing, right? Broke the high, made the new high. It did break a strong low and it retraced it to it. So now this is pretty much ready to begin its retracement. Will it do it? Time will tell. And you know, we'll look at that as potentially an opportunity to get into that retracement, get into that pullback, get into that correction for a sell. But mainly because the trend is up, we're looking for the buy from our point of interest, which happens to be this demand area. And if we get a trade from there back up to the high, we're looking at 121 pips to that high. And again, on a standard lot, guys, that's $1,200. Easy play on GU is all you'll need to succeed for the week. All right, let's make it happen. All right, bullish, temporarily bearish, overall bullish on GU. All right, NZD, USD, same exact thing as its brothers and sisters. Broke the high, made the new high, gave the change, right, to let us know the retracement is beginning, right? We pull back into the supply area that broke that low, that gave us the change, and now we're starting to push down. So the retracement phase has begun. The internal structure is beginning to form, but we just want to see it get to a point of interest, right? This break of structure is a point of interest. This demand area here is a point of interest, right? And as well as this low down here from where everything initiated in terms of price pushing up to create the change or the break. All right, so price coming down to these areas, when they get there, if they start to look like they're respecting those areas, especially if you're getting lots of bullish pressure or candles, body candles, or change of character from down to up on a lower time frame, you want to get into your buy and let it ride out, because you are now once again with the trend. All right, guys, hope it makes sense. If it does, hit that like and subscribe button for your boy. All right, over to dollar CAD. Let's get a little higher so you guys can see the possibility. Okay, and on dollar CAD, it looks like it has bullish divergence. On the chart, we're making lower lows. On the RSI, we're making higher lows. So we do have bullish divergence. So we can see the dollar CAD rise to one of these points of interest even though we're in a overall downtrend. All right, this is what again separates everyone, and I'm just trying to get you guys to see how to succeed. Right, this is in a downtrend. You want to be looking for sells, so you don't necessarily want to take the buy even though we're expecting the buy, right, or a price to rise, and you can buy, right, even though it is possible you can make money in that regard. But the real money is made when you are in flow or alignment with the trend. That's just what it is. Okay, so get in a position where you're buying it, it can get it right up to here and then fall, right? So it's like you were right before a little bit, and then the way that it went really far. So why would you just get into a position where you can only get a little bit versus a position where you can get a whole lot, right? It's just, you got to make it make sense, guys. All right, so again, getting in from the supply area or this one, just depending on where it gets to, and it starts to reject, we can see huge imbalance here on the dollar cap between these three candles, and then again just some imbalance up here as well, and right up in here also. So lots of imbalance. You don't know how far it's going to reach, but the safe bet is to sell it from the high. It's just that simple. So looking for dollar cat to rise initially, and then from there looking for it to drop from the supply. If we can grab it with the sell limit order or market order, we're looking at 165 pips to the downside. This is going to be an insane week, ladies and gents. Every single pair is set up. All the majors have buying and selling opportunities. In this case, the dollar base pairs have lots of selling opportunities set up, and then the non-dollar base pairs, right, the euro, dollar, etc., those have a lot of buying opportunities. They need to drop first, and then you'll be able to buy them, right? So just 7 pairs in the major alone that you can play off of, just that simple, and make some good money this week in the market. All right, so take heed, people. All right, over to dollar CHF, and we get the same vibes, right? We're down, we broke this low, major drop, right? We started the retracement, we broke above a strong high, and we respected the demand area that broke that high. So now we're heading up on dollar CHF. So that's exactly what I'm expecting us to just completely rise, potentially to the supply area. But then once we get here, oh boy, it's kiss the baby goodnight once again. Sell to that low, you're looking at 170 pips. That's 1600 on a standard lot. All right, moving over to pound odd. Okay, and here you can see we broke this high, made this new high, bunch of noise, bunch of engineered liquidity, swept that liquidity, engineered more liquidity with these equal lows, pushed away, came back and swept that liquidity, which tapped into this demand area. You see my long position is set on. I am absolutely expecting pound odd to rip us a new one all the way up to the high for 231 pips. Standard lot, $2,300. Ladies and gents, make it happen. Bullish on pound odd. All right, over to pound CAD, same exact thing. Broke the high, made the new high, started the retracement, came down very, very lovely right into our demand area. How ironic, when we get to this point of interest, this same area that made price shoot off and put us in an uptrend, right? We came back to that same area, went up. We're back in that same area. We're going to go up, ladies and gents. All right. This was pretty much a little bit of engineered liquidity. When you see this low, and this low, all in the same area of this demand, and then what happens? Boom, we take it all, and we come right back up. So guys, pound CAD right out the gate is going to be ready for a buying opportunity with 169 pips to the top, 1600 on a standard lot. Bullish on pound CAD. All right, over to pound CHF. It's bearish, broke the low, made the new low, retracing back, most likely going to get to the supply. I'll be looking for a position from here back down to the low, 146 pips, 1400 on a standard lot. I am bearish on pound CHF. Pound New Zealand, we broke the low, made the new low, and we haven't quite changed character yet to get to start the retracement, but it's almost there. All right, we just got to get above this, right? And once we do, then we can begin to look for our buying opportunity on pound New Zealand up to this point of interest, which is our supply for about 100 pips right? So there you can easily get $1,000 off a standard lot. And then the real move is coming right back down, all right, from that supply area, which clearly if we made 100 going up, then we're probably going to have 100 coming right back down, 142 to be exact, maybe more than that, just depending on how things flow this week. But the structure is finally lovely, right? We're out of all the choppiness, all the nonsense because of you know who, right? We have the structure that we're used to, and things should play out very, very nicely. I am temporarily bullish, overall bearish on pound New Zealand. All right, moving over to GJ. All right, so GJ has been doing a lot of motioning, all right, in terms of its retracement. So what we can see is we had some stuff here, but I'm just going with the uptrend structure that we see on this leg, right? We broke a high, made the new high. So now we're potentially going to start retracing down and maybe even possibly reversing, as we're near a very heavy supply area. But what I think is going to happen is that we're going to continue rising up into the supply, and then eventually we'll get the change, right, where we sweep the high, then we change breaking the low, and then we start to fall from there. All right, so again, that's something that I'll be watching the JPY very heavily to try to time this correctly. But for now, I think JPY or GJ will go up a little further before it sets itself up for a major fall. And if we get in for a sell from that supply area down to this low, we're talking over 800 pips on GJ, and it's done that in the past. July 30th of this year, and it took 1 day, right, maybe 2 days, but it went 852 pips. So don't think that this can't happen again this week, guys. On a standard, that's an easy $8,000 one trade off of GJ. All right, I know y'all love GJ, and if you really love it, then you'll make sure that you set yourself up to take advantage of when it provides an opportunity. All right, guys, so bearish on GJ. All right, over to silver. All right, we broke the high and we made a new high. So silver is beginning its retracement, right? It has not gotten to the point yet where it is actually breaking any particular low, right? So the structure is still bullish, right? We can respect this area and keep rising, or we can break below it, all right? And really probably want to break below here, but I think breaking below here is enough because we had structure before we pushed up, making a new high. So if we break right below here, we can begin the potential retracement where we'll come back, respect it, and then start retracing down internally to all of these points of interest that we see here, right? The liquidity, the FVG, and then of course the demand area, right? So possible sell, to be traded on silver initially if it breaks below, but mainly we want to look for those buying opportunities, which will come from this point of interest where we broke, this point of interest, the liquidity, this point of interest, the FEG, or this point of interest, the demand area. Guys, seeing price get into any one of these areas and reject it and then shift from bearish to bullish, that is the key. You need to get that shift in those points of interest. They don't just need to be at the point of interest, right? That's what separates. All right, so when you get that, now it's time to go and take that buy. And guys, silver can absolutely get out of here in terms of rising because of where it's at on the higher time frame, right? We've been falling for quite some time when it should have been rising all during the war, but it wasn't. But now we've shifted, right, to breaking above these highs, almost each month or each day throughout the month of August, right? Just kept pushing higher. So the month of August alone has seen silver just dramatically jump up. All right, so now we're a little bit of a supply area to the left, therefore we can get that push coming down, right, which would just be a correction or profit taking of silver rising up, right? People will take their money, so we'll see, sell-offs of silver. But then again, if once we get to these points of interest on that lower time frame and we start to get bullish candles to show up, man, it can rip through the 70 price point, clearly getting to 72 here at 78 or 80, and then even up to 90 and higher. I can see it happening, guys. So I'm lining myself up to take advantage of every bit of silver, taking the mothership to outer space. All right. So please look out for your buying opportunity on silver. Take the sell on the tracement if you feel like it, right? Your prerogative. Just understand that it could be short-lived, where it pushes down a little but then gets to a point of interest and then takes back off to the upside. All right, so on silver, I am temporarily bearish, but I'm overall bullish, and I can just see that I'm pretty much going to cash out on silver. It is going to be an epic play, all right, to take once it gets to where I needed to get to. It's gonna really pay off. All right, so there you have it, temporarily bearish, overall bullish on silver. All right, moving over to gold, and gold's giving the same thing. All right, so from this time frame, I made the structure pretty tiny, but here's where you can see a clean break. All right, here. All right, and then you also have your low sitting right here. All right, and then the high of where you can see it. So potentially, starting that retracement once again, but we haven't broken any lows. So you can see here the same thing that I gave you guys on the 4-hour, where I showed you where the break was of this high, where we continue to go keep going higher. I also showed it to you here, where that structure is still bullish, which again, if you just know how to read structure, you won't be confused by what you see. Right, you'll know that we're still very bullish on gold, and that gold could easily come and rise off of that demand area, can come down and rise off of this one and keep rising. It's not until gold breaks below this low that will be bearish on gold, or potentially can start to retrace on gold. All right, so we got to be very mindful of that, and don't just sell gold because you see that it's falling a little bit from the high. It needs to change character first, respect it as resistance, and then start to show you some bears before you get in for the sell. And again, why would you want to sell in a uptrend, right? So again, just those simple little things will make life a lot easier for your trading, but you got to hear me out. All right, so again, I'm just looking for gold to push down as far as it can between this low and this high, and once it gets to a nice little point of interest, say this demand area here, right, I'll be looking for my buying opportunity. And once again, from a higher time frame on these metals, it looks like we can just get to the moon. All right, so the next stop on gold is around 4,800. All right, passing that, we're looking at about 4,900. All right, and then obviously at the tippy top, the 5,500 mark will be the next mark. And don't think that it can't happen, guys. Y'all can blink and this thing will just shoot to the moon. All right, so overall, let's wait for our price to drop and get to our points of interest before we look for those buying opportunities. But once it is there, we gotta take it. All right, temporarily bearish, overall bullish on gold. Over to oil. All right, let's get to the higher time frame, and oil ended up rising. So it began this retracement, but it just kept rising throughout the week, and you can see that we're still bullish, right? So we just broke above this high, barely, right? But we broke it, and that left this as demand. So oil can simply come back to that demand and begin to rise once again, potentially getting to this high. All right, so you want to be looking for your buying opportunities only on oil from this demand area, unless price comes down doesn't respect that demand and it ends up breaking below this structure that we see, which is, kind of consolidation. If it gets below that, then you want to see it respect this as supply, show you some bear candles, and now you want to sell to have price go and take out that low, because we still are overall bearish. We just shifted a little bit. Doesn't mean it's going to go up, right? That's not confirmation of it rising. That's an indication of it rising, right? Your confirmation comes after it gets to this demand and it shifts again from bearish to bullish on a lower time frame. That's the key, right? So looking out for that, that'll let you know that it's going to continue rising. But if you don't get that when price gets into demand, then there's potential for it to go back within the trend, where this will be considered a false break at that time, right? Because it broke the low, so that was false. It didn't really want to go up. It just wanted to grab liquidity behind this high to fuel the move back to the downside, which it was already in a downtrend. Hallelujah. Let the church say amen. The light bulb went off for somebody just now. All right. But for USOIL, I am bullish at the moment, trying to see how it reacts around that demand area. But if it breaks below it, I will definitely be bearish and look for my selling opportunities. All right, so that's how I'm going with oil. All right, moving over to SPY. All right, SPY is bearish at the moment, okay, but it's sitting very close to a demand area. All right, and it's going to be hard to tell, right? Because the dollar looks like it's going to rise, which will send SPY typically falling, and then the dollar looks like it's going to fall, which will then send SPY rising. So what I'm thinking is from the bearish structure that we have right now, that we can still get a potential push to the downside as the dollar is rising to this demand area, and then when the dollar is ready to fall, we'll get a rise from that demand area up to these highs off of SPY. All right, so that's pretty much what I'm looking for, a drop and then a rise, right, on SPY. But just overall, it'll be best to buy or look for the buying opportunity from this demand area on SPY. All right, so temporarily bearish, overall bullish on SPY. Over to NAS, same exact thing. We've gotten some bearish internal structure. We did not break this strong low yet, but we do have this demand area for it to kind of dip into. So as the dollar is rising, NAS can fall to this demand area, okay? And as it falls, it is basically grabbing liquidity from these equal lows that you see here. So we grab that liquidity, then the dollar gets the supply and NAS starts to rise. So it'll change character from down to up, and then we'll start to go and get that swing high right here on NAS. All right, so I'm temporarily bearish, not sure how far down it's going to go. Right, again, we got another demand area there right below some fair value gap. Okay, so we can get all the way down there before we rise, but that's what you're going to have to give time to play out to see exactly what it's trying to do. But any buying opportunity that you may have on NAS when it gets to this area or this point of interest, you want to take it. All right, because that's what's going to line up with the dollar falling, as well as the particular trend that these indices will be in at that point. All right, guys, so temporarily bearish, overall bullish on NAS. Last but not least, US30, and it looks exactly like SPY and NAS, still doing this bearish structure, but it did respect this little demand area. So now we're just a little ping pong game between this demand and this supply, to where we can respect the supply, right, and then shoot down to this next demand area before we shoot all the way back up to take out the swing on US30. Again, all of this would be internal, right, to fuel the move up in the overall direction of the trend. And this is very clean market structure and price action on US30. So just know that if you happen to get in from the low and you catch US30 going to take out that high, you're looking at a potential of 3,000 points on US30, guys. And just to put it in perspective, Standard lot is about, what is that, 30, so that's 3,000, and then you got 30,000, and then you got 300,000. So yeah, right, one trade, $300,000. Insane, right? But we are loaded, guys, with plenty of opportunities this week. I really hope y'all don't miss out. Please review everything. Tell me what pairs you're looking at. If you think they're going up or down, do you understand the cycle that it's in, what phase of market structure it's in, and what is it paying? We getting lots of pips on it or not. You know what I mean? Just let me know, and tell a friend, get everybody in so we all can win. All right. But in the meantime, in between time, y'all know what it is. It's your boy. Peace.
Want to get money? Want to get paid? Master Forex, like a sensei? Then you know you got to come and swing my way. And if you want to fast forward, hit replay.